Yeah.
Okay, so we're what are we doing here? How's it look? Look around. Are you caught? Let me see. Am I good? Okay, you're good. Yeah, we're good. All right, let's see what's happening. We're on line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're waiting on Twitch. We got 4 people in the house. All right. What's today? Saturday?
Saturday.
So we're having a Saturday show here in the studio. Test, test, test. You're good.
Am I good?
Yeah, I'm going to turn up the gain.
Sure.
Test, test, test. Oh, yeah, much better. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Oh, yes, this is good. I'm going to have a soulgasm in a second. Okay, so we're here with our beautiful, lovely, beloved sister, Cathleena Hailley. She's here in the studio. She's the first person to do a show in the studio, which is kind of cool. There are no coincidences and there are no mistakes. All right, so I am going to put on a little something so we can allow everybody to have a little bit more time to come in and join us, because this is going to be a special show. And the reason I know that is because we don't know what the hell we're going to do. All right, we're just going to start. We're just going to go for it. It's good to see everybody on this Saturday morning. Test, test, test. Let me see here. Test, 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 test. Much better. Okay, here's a little echo. All right. Test, 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 test. Ooh. Test, test. Yeah, that's better. Sorry, I haven't had to have it on this. There's 4 mics.
This mic, yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't had it.
Yeah.
It sure sounds echoey though. Hang on. Test, test. Oh, this is it. Test, test, test. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Very good.
Perfect.
We're going to dance. All right. What's happening, Poland? Isabella, Connie Ma. All right, everybody. Everyone's got the good sound. We got what? 68 people. Oh, we won't play anything. We'll just leave it like this. Let's see who's in the house, everybody. We got Poland in the house, and Terry Willette, and Heather Nielsen, and Denise Wood. All right. Marius Ostestad. I like you too. Samara Ghaznavi, and our beautiful warrioress Dawn Bowers Cantor. We're going to have to get her on here and do a show here in the next few weeks. She's powerful, and I want to say thank you, Dawn, for coming in and sharing comments with us on every show, because they're full of beauty and wisdom. Hey, Eon Boldy and Shaz, thank you both for administrating the Soulogy group, because I know it's a pain in the ass sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking that off my plate. And, who else did I just say? Billie Jean. Hello, Billie Jean. She's the #1 poster in the Soulogy group. All right. So I think we've got enough people in the house. So Cathleena is from Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And we hooked up. We've done 2 shows together, and we connected in Sedona. So Cathleena has been connected for a long, long time. We've talked about it on the 2 shows that she's been on. And, so we're just, anyway, so she was called to go to Sedona after our first show, or second show. Uh-huh. And we were going to be there. And then, of course, we've talked about Sedona and all the crazy things, not crazy bad, but the massive elevations, connections, triad connections. I talked about the frequency of divine union, which first and foremost, we all know is within ourselves. And that frequency was largely demonstrated in Sedona and other power points around the world. This is intel that Morgan pulled in when we commune every night. Prior to going, we were told we'd meet a lot of couples and androgynous beings carrying the same frequency, which we did. And there would be a huge pulse that would that would shoot out from Sedona and other power points around the world during that time period, the last 2 weeks of September, first part of October. And so she was part of that. Michael and I talked about it on his show yesterday. We've been talking about it. But anyway, so this is how it works. You just follow the guidance and the synchronicities and respect what you're getting, act on it, and then more soulgasmic, cataclysmic, galactic, organic, orgasmic things happen. And so this is where we're at. So we're just going to sit here and rap a little bit. And I don't know, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I'm really happy to be here, and it's very interesting actually to find myself here, because as you talked about, just following that energy and ending up in Sedona, the whole circumstances that brought me there, and meeting a lot of new soul family, and really just expanding the energy. And as we talked about a little bit before we came on, it's really all about being in this divine moment without judgment. Yeah. And I shared a little bit that the way I see that is what I consider the frequency of truth, the actual frequency of truth, which is it's just before and just as we are birthed from source as an aspect of source into the void. And so this space where there's no thing and all possibilities is what we're providing here. And it's something that I feel, that I'm fully stepping into, and it's why I'm here with you. It's why, there may be another move coming for me in terms of my physical move. It's also, which I'll just tell a little bit about, because what I've been doing, guided to do, is come on live. If anybody's been following me, I've been doing a live Facebook at 2:00 every day. And what I was guided is exactly what we're talking about here, is to create a container that literally just provides that 0 point, or that now moment without judgment, because my particular frequency carries with it all ranges of frequencies at what's called its perfect pitch, which just means that there's a recognition of all the other frequencies from mine. So when they match, it becomes that 0 point. And so what, like I was guided, was created in the space that they're doing every day. They said, think about it like pulling into a car wash, where you pull your car in and you passively sit in the car as the machine washes your car. It's like that's what's being provided. So this is perfect, actually, too, just stepping into the energy and just imagining that, it's a place you can come in and have all of those energies or frequencies, belief systems, worry, doubt, fear, whatever, just kind of go to neutral, because the idea is not to try to change it, replace it, because otherwise you're just interacting with it. It's just like bring it into a place of neutrality, that then you can feel your divinity and allow that to just expand and decide what energies and frequencies you want to engage with. And this is what we're doing, right? This is this like 5D aspect, is that when you can do that, you just find yourself like here, like I'm here with you.
That's right.
Or, in Sedona, how I ended up in Sedona, or I ended up in, different areas in North Carolina and things like that. And so I always think about it just like that little kid, right? It's really simple. It's like being that little kid. It's the first time, right? In the moment, with all that exhilaration, excitement, exploration, right? Instead of all that torturous talk.
Yeah, I like
right?
that. That's good. You're good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so like, I think to myself, because that's what I do, how can I convey this message, this code, this frequency, whatever you want to call it, this programming by, that I'm privy to because of the people I come across, and then whatever comes in with me, or whatever Morgan hands me, or whatever we pull in together. How do you explain that? And one of the things that I was pondering in the last 48 hours, you just finished it. Okay. So it was basically, okay, what is 5D? Like, or, we call it 5D or New Earth.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Well, do we really know what it is? because we're so smart as humans that we think we can figure everything out? I don't know. But do we know what it's not?
Yeah.
Like, we know what it's not. Like, I wrote a post today.
Yeah.
There's no word such as safety in 5D, meaning there's nothing to have to be safe from because there's no threat.
Right.
So if we're in charge of making the jump from 3D to 5D, or anchoring in heaven to earth, if we carry a charge of the need to feel safe, then that means we are perpetuating the old world, because if we feel like we need to be safe, that means there's something we don't trust and that we need to be suspicious of. Suspicion doesn't exist in 5D. Now, so we could talk about it that way, but what she just made me realize, or be able to verbalize, is I started thinking in the last 48 hours, okay, so what can I be on my toes about in terms of early detection, conscious, consistent connection, and immediate modification or transformation in terms of my field on a moment-to-moment basis. Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling any of the frequencies of the charismatic children of fear? Okay? So, we have to sit with our emotions and this and that. I'm going past that a little bit and going to what she just said. Okay? So when I'm feeling joy and bliss, when I'm in my groove, when I'm doing what I want to do, when I'm with who I want to be, to me, that is New Earth frequency. So I love what she just said about, because I identify so much with childlike wonder.
Yeah.
I'm Peter fucking Pan. Okay. And I have no problem saying that. And I believe that our strength is in the child that is us. Okay. That innocence and that curiosity, that wonder and that love, that courage, that uninhibitedness, that pure vulnerability that just makes you want to, hug children. This is what we are. So I love what she said, because now that's triggered something in my head. To stay with that frequency, that to me is open a path to what is New Earth, what is 5D. So that's very cool. See, this is why you're here.
Yeah. Well, it quite literally, I like to describe it as when we first come into this world, we are our full multidimensional self. And there is an actual time in our chronological life that we are fully our multidimensional self. And it's when we're very, very young, when we're little. So we're probably, about the age of 2 or a little bit less, because before we understand language, we don't have to speak, but before we understand language, we are 100% our multidimensional self. But as soon as we begin to understand language, we become whatever we're told, what it means to be a girl, a boy, whatever, right? And so in this idea of waking up and, getting in this divine now moment, you have to realize that you are quite literally this very little kid, because that is when you, in a physical form, have been your 100% multidimensional self. So there's a couple of things going on that I like to have people think about that helps them continue this process of being in that very divine now moment without judgment, as that little kid exploration, excitement experience, because it is brand new experience. But what we keep doing is we stop ourselves from having that. So here's what happens. It's quite literally, you have this wake up, and you have to imagine that there's this little kid that's suddenly just shown up right here, but this is inside of you, right? And as this little kid begins to have an experience, but if we're an adult, and say it's something like an example, if you were meeting somebody for the first time that you are interested in, and maybe you have all this nervousness and all this kind of stuff come forward. And so what we typically do is stop all that and kind of sit up and, become something. But if we have the scenario that I'm describing, that it's this little kid, because we're genuine, we're authentic. And so if we if what we want to imagine is becoming the perfect parent to that little kid. And what I think of that perfect parent is just simply holding space.
Yeah.
You just hold space, right? So you're doing that for yourself. So you're holding space. You are holding space for that part of you to go through whatever she or he's going through. So in that scenario, right, you're meeting somebody, just let it all be goofy and whatever happens, right? Yeah, but the most important, actually, once you do that, right, so that's that divine moment where you're not holding anything, you're just allowing those emotions to just occur, right? But the most important is later, because when you get home and you're by yourself, is usually when that very punishing self-judgment starts to become the analyzer, right? Where you go back and you think, oh my gosh, what did I just do? And it's at that moment you have to really start to envision and remember that there's a little child there. And so at that moment is when you really start to hold space for that child and just be like, no, it's okay, you're good, it's cool.
Yeah,
just
like a reinforcement.
Yes, and let that happen, because that's really typically what we do. It's not so much, I mean, we pull ourselves together in that scenario, but it's really later. I mean, it's more often than not that we're by ourselves in the privacy of our own head and our own home that we're self-punishing in the story. So it's simple, but I heard you say this the other day, that it is simple, but it's not easy.
That's right.
And that is to be able to allow yourself to just have whatever those emotions and not attach it to your story. Okay, because it doesn't have a story, really. It's in the divine moment. It's just an emotion. We're having it brand new, right? So just allow it.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that the simple becomes easier when we're and we are, all of us are becoming more conscious in the moment of where we're at. Like in other words, we have spent enough time in the aftermath alone, second guessing ourselves. We've worked in that situation. It's moving to the present, like everything's being pushed to the present. Yeah. But I love what you say about, and I think this is really important right now. Everything is enhancing. Everything. Yeah. The extremities of unconscious programming, the potential repercussions of that. The blind spots getting louder. I don't think it'll be too long before nobody will, where anybody will be an exception to knowing all their blind spots. Yeah. I don't think the universal energy is playing around anymore. I think 2021 is going to be a huge acceleration, even more than 2020. Now, back to what you were saying. Yeah. So if I am holding space for the child that I am, who is basically this multidimensional, eternal memories, carrying all of this code and knowledge, or at least has the cords of connection to him, and then it's going out to try to function in a human world. Right. This is the story of the empath, right? Yeah. This is why empaths are hermits. But now we're being called to go out there, and there will be no one will be excluded from that either, because we're all one. We're all the same. We all have code to share. We can't put the cosmic jigsaw puzzle together if we're missing a piece. Yeah. So my point is this: times are moving very fast. Everybody's feet is being put to the fire. This is a time of a lot of solitude. This is a time of a lot of self-introspection. This is the time for a lot of come to Jesus meetings with the universe, where you can't bullshit the universe, because the universe is no longer allowing us to operate in the bullshit zone. We're now in the no bullshit zone. So when we hold space for ourselves and refine that frequency of non-judgment of ourselves, okay, then we begin to parlay that turns into actions, words, and thoughts that aren't carrying as much pain, as much fear. And what ends up happening is we start to carry that over to the mirrors that are in our lives or in our interactions every day. We start to have less judgment. But the reason we do is because what you said, and that is because now we're holding space for our mirror as we have for ourselves, and allowing ourselves and the mirror of ourselves to go through whatever they need to go through. Okay, so I think this is a great subject, and I also think it's a great complement to what I've been experiencing. This is my own experience, which is shut up.
Yeah.
just shut up. In terms, obviously we got to speak, but there's a way to speak without judgment. Mm-hmm. There's a way to speak vulnerably, raw, uninhibited. There's emotion, with memory coming back, with aspirations moving forward. I mean, there's a place in this present moment that she's talking about with no judgment that has all these thousands and thousands and thousands points of light, code, Akashic code. I mean, there's all this stuff that if we can refine our field of energy in the moment, in the present moment, as you're talking about, and you don't have judgment and you're holding space for yourself. We know this. We know we're moving into a space where service to self, service to others, and service to the collective is all one and the same thing. We're feeling that alignment.
Yeah.
We just have this. We have this old. We know this. The old conditioning, the old programming, the old impressions of ourselves and others that has been so ingrained in us that we're just being conscious of it, so we can convert those and transform those to this field of this space, this presence, this field of energy, our field of energy that you're talking about. And frankly, we were talking about this earlier. I'm gonna kick it back to you, but I'm getting a little tired of rubbing salt in our wounds. I think we have enough information now to understand that we're eternal souls that are limitless, and we have all these capabilities. We were made in the image of the goddess, right? And the God, okay? We were made in the image, in the flesh. This is a once in a universal lifetime's opportunity. And I'm tired of, seeing anyone and anything, including myself, sitting on the pity pot. It's time to shift or get off the pot. That's the way I look at it. I don't think the universe is playing, and I'm feeling its energy, and I'm not going to be shy about it. Back to you.
Well, I think that a couple of things, being in this divine moment without judgment is, recognizing that your divine moment, this moment is brand new experience. And I think when you talk about communication, what's really important is to recognize that 99%, if not most of the time 100%, of communication with another person is manipulation. And that's where I'm not simply communicating something. I'm communicating in a way that I'm either wanting to put something in you or pull something from you. And the practice is, in the now divine moment, is to be actually authentically sharing. And it's very different energy, very different frequency. And you can do that when there's no hidden agendas, and that's really kind of what we're talking about. And quite literally, actually, it's interesting because the frequency difference between 3D and 4D, even in, say, like the English language that we're talking about, is about a actual emotional experience. So the 3D emotional experience, say, of, giving some communication with another person is that manipulation frequency, because in this 3D energy, there is the duality of the separation aspect. When you take that same emotion and you bring that into 4D, that's when suddenly that, kind of comparison energy lifts, and you no longer are feeling threatened by somebody else in that way. You're actually in a present moment and being able to just simply experience, whatever is going on. And that's, so it's a quite literal frequency that happens between 3D and 4D. And so, and this is why the false matrix that we talk about all the time tries to get you to keep interacting in it and fix it and change it and do all, but then you're just constantly flipping around within it. So that's why you really have to sort of pause, just literally pause everything. But it begins to make sense because we recognize that this isn't working. So think about this, right? Like, if I do convince you in some way to do this, well, you talk about safety a few minutes ago. It's like, well, of course you can't have any safety in that, because how is that ever safe? It's only safe because I convinced you. That means I have to continually do that. It's exhausting. I have to keep this mechanism going in order to have this idea I've now defined as safety. But if I instead simply show up and have the experience with you of whatever your experience is, and that's authentic, right? Then I know for sure what I'm working with, or how I'm connecting with. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that whole dynamic that we've learned in the past of, I have to keep holding on or doing something to convince you and feel safe and do all that. Well, that whole illusion of holding is that's the false defined frequency of safety.
Yeah.
But the real frequency of safety that we talk about is literally just being present, just absolutely letting go and being very real, because that's that feeling internally. And this is another thing I think is really important, because a lot of individuals, like, we don't know what these things feel like. And one of the things I thought about earlier is why like I keep showing up is because we need to have a point of reference. We need to have people, individuals that are actually showing up in these frequencies and these energies, so that people can feel it, because they don't know. They don't know what these things feel like. And I've actually gotten that quite a bit from several people who've sent messages and saying, that some of the energies and frequencies they're feeling now have given them that feeling of hope and that real recognition of what the new earth is really about, and and courage. It's given them courage, which is interesting, right? How do we really give courage? Well, we don't really give it. We just simply authentically show up, and then they feel that, and there's like this desire to show up just like you, right? And it's all about that like, oh wow, that feels good.
That's I think that's true for all the attributes of the soul that are coming out, that are bridging us to New Earth or 5D or whatever you want to call it. So there's a lot. You said a lot there. First thing is, to me, like, I love this description that you're giving of this interaction between the giver and the receiver. Mm-hmm. What is that? Mm-hmm. I think in the New Earth frequency, there's so we talked about this earlier. There's no teacher. Right. It's all about code exchange. So the giver and the receiver are one thing. Right. So I would say in the dictionary at that level of frequency, there's only one word for both giving and receiving, because it's all one and the same thing. Right. Now, what she was talking about is very important, because on one hand, you have the giver, which has a need to give, right? And you have the receiver, who evidently has a need to receive. This is a codependent frequency. Mm-hmm. The codependent frequency, both the giver and the receiver, or we might say the taker, both become more disempowered. Both are giving their power away. I love what she said about showing up. I love what she said about how do you display this higher frequency, if we want to use that term. Let's say pure frequency, less distorted frequency. How do you share that with people? Well, how do you share it with other souls in other dimensions? You live, learn, and love through this merging and this code exchange that occurs when you're in the proximity, which means at these, let's say at the 5D, which means the proximity just means all I got to do is think about her, even if she's in another universe or another side of the world, and vice versa. This is another thing that we're bringing into play here. This is why we can't hide. This is why telepathy is becoming so strong. And we're sitting here as humans in transition trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And this might be the point that we start to jump off. Because when I say jump off, I mean the need to know, the need to explain. It's not the words, it's the intention behind it. It's the energy behind it. So when she says, show up, that's what you do. The only thing you need to do, which is probably, it's a scary word for me, have to do, might be closer, is when you get the guidance that you're supposed to go to Arkansas and sit down in Todd's studio, or you're supposed to go to Sedona, or you're supposed to go to Mesa, Arizona and pick up a bus that a beautiful sister wants to give you. This is following the guidance. This is alignment. And I really like what she said, because, and I say this all the time, Morgan has a saying, if you know it, why you got to say it, which to me has so many multiple faceted meanings. But one of those meanings is just be it. If I know it, I don't have to say it. I can just be it, because this is what she's referring to about these people that are saying, oh, I'm seeing it in you. I'm seeing it here. I'm starting to understand what the potential of our new earth can be. And I really think that that's where we're headed. And we're going to come into more and more clarity as the days go by. But at the same time, as we're doing that, we're having to die. We're having to lose. Just like we worked our ass off on traumas and wounded child within ourselves and past violations of ourselves and ancestral lineage loops that were playing, we worked on that. We converted and transformed and transmuted that into a higher level of clarity and frequency. The same thing is being asked of us now in a different way. And let me give you an example. Discernment versus judgment. So at this level here, okay, let's just use me as an example. At my chest level, and ascension being going up to the head, there was judgment and there was discernment. And once we start to utilize the knowledge and the wisdom that comes from discerning and to thine own self be true, and acting and speaking and thinking in those terms, we elevate. But what's happening is there's a new truth every day. And now what was discernment here may very well be judgment here. Where discernment created a certain flow, a certain initiation, a certain catalyst to drive us to a higher frequency, everything changes. There's a new truth every day. And what discernment was down here may be judgment up here, because judgment, like everything else, is becoming more and more and more refined. Okay? The meaning's becoming more and more and more specific. And we're growing. And so we're having to check ourselves constantly every single day. And here we go. To thine own self be true, keep your own counsel. But at the same time, you're walking into a wider birth of oneness, which requires co-creation and collaboration. But it comes through me, it comes through you, it comes through each one of us on an individual level. Basically, doing the work and increasing our level of frequency so that we can meet in a higher state of oneness. But it's all incumbent upon ourselves. And again, this goes back to what she said in the beginning about the judgment thing. The more time we're spending in judgment, the less we are expanding ourselves and therefore increasing the frequency that we're sharing collectively. Now, the good news is, and the bad news, the good news and the bad news. You want the good news first or the bad news? The good news is the universal energy, you call it coming from the central sun through the sun, whatever it may be, it's no longer operating, like I said, we're in the no bullshit zone. So it's going to, by force or by flow, it's gonna push us. And so as far as judging and having a blind spot on judging and having a blind spot to unconscious programming in ourselves, we are being assisted, and it's not always fun. Okay. But that's the good news, and the bad news is sometimes it hurts. So, where I go every day now, and this has been like huge in the last 30 days, in some point in the day, usually in the morning, sometimes at night, I say to myself, beyond, what am I missing in myself? And all those questions that we ask ourselves, I simply connect to the universal, and I say, I want to express with my fullest emotion my desire to grow. Please guide me. Please bring me into a state of higher awareness, because I know that's where it starts. I'm not seeking so much the specific shadows and the specific unconscious programming. I'm saying I have enough supreme faith to know that if I speak my desire through my emotions, that I will be shown. And I got to tell you, to me, it's working. To me, the simplification, like you were saying earlier, it's not easy. It's not easy because we're not used to it. Right. And so I'm kind of like trying to clear as much off of my plate or my table, so I can only have 1, 2, 3, 4 things to focus on, as opposed to 1,000 points of contention that behind them are 1,000 points of light, Right. Oh, right. Thank you.
Well, that was huge. A lot of things that you were talking about there. And a couple of things that were really highlighting to me is when you're talking about discernment versus judgment, and we have different truths, which is changing that. Well, the frequency of truth is that divine 0 point of no thing and all possibilities. So that's very profound in that when we hit that 0 point, when we're literally at that very present moment awareness, we are at truth, where we are getting downloads, we are connecting, we are recognizing, and it is brand new. And because we're energy and frequency, and everything's about energy and frequency, and as we said before, this literally the 3D, third dimensional aspects of this earth carry with that these very denser aspects of these frequencies of love, truth, beauty, goodness, which are the resonance frequencies of the earth here. But they carry with 3D carries a much denser version of these love, truth, beauty, goodness. And so as we sit still, as we get into that divine truth, that now 0 point moment, we begin to feel the authentic aspects of love, truth, beauty, goodness, and all ranges of those through is up to the 13th dimension, because we really do have these abilities to do this. And so this is why you're having all this different discernment, all these things. And so again, it's not simple to do, but if you can just have this recognition that because we're energy, and energy just simply gets comfortable by aligning to frequencies. That's literally what happens when we hit a match to a frequency. It's 0 points. That's our idea of comfort. And so we've been taking these emotions that we've been in this 3D, in this denser, confused, and that's where we felt comfortable. And so when we get in that 0 point and in that divine moment, and suddenly it feels lighter, there can be this very uncomfortable feeling with that. Like, ooh, I don't have anything to hold on to. You're right. You don't, because this illusion of holding on to is that matching of those very denser frequencies, because that's been the definition, it's been the defined, here's what love is, here's what this is. So that's why the kind of trick to this is simply allowing those to move. Now, it's not as simple, right? Because you've been aligning. Everything is frequency and energy. So you've been aligning. Your whole world has been aligning to these particular frequencies. Your clothes, your room, your space, your where you live, the people around you, whatever. That's why we're talking about that this transitions from this 3D to the 4D, 5D is about just getting this information that's aligning with you when you get in that now moment, and you get all these feelings like with me where, okay, I need to be here with Todd, or I need to go do this. If you can start to imagine, it's not just about doing things, it is the authentic expression of these feelings of love, truth, beauty, goodness. And you feel it, and it feels like that. Like that's what I knew, when I met Todd, when I actually came in contact, it was like, wow, okay, there's this synergy. This is what love, this is what, compassion, this is what all these different frequencies, you can feel these energies. And I feel them everywhere that I go, and they're getting more and more expansive. And this is this, representation. This is what that I'm experiencing as the, being we'll call it the way show or whatever, showing up as the example, because now I'm vibrating, radiating, presenting these frequencies so that anybody can feel this. And yes, it's not isolated to close contact. Sometimes, certainly, definitely needs to be, but definitely through this medium, through any medium, the minute you have thought. So you're not just in the person's energy, you're in the person's energy at your frequency, sending that frequency there. So this is the other thing that we're doing, and why these platforms are so important, and why this huge expansion, all this stuff's happening, is that we're literally alchemizing, or bringing into neutrality those false aspects of what we thought these were, and expanding. But just keep remembering that as that happens, that might feel really uncomfortable, only because you've been comfortable at this much denser, right? We're taught to feel it. I mean, even think about what a statement that says, I don't believe it until I can solidly feel it. Well, there's nothing solid. So isn't that interesting, right? That we have these words. And that's something I want to talk about too, because this is
that's you just hit like 6 of them. I'm trying to keep this.
I know. Well, I got one more thing. So because there's so much coming forward that again, this whole thing. So this thing that I've been kind of guided to do at this 2:00 every day, which is part of here, is still being constructed.
2:15 right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So it's getting constructed, right? And what it is it's actually, I can feel it as like a technology, and it feels like a very crystalline structure technology. But it was shown to me because we talk about language, and I shared this a little bit on one of the live that I did, where if you think about language, we spell with language, and then I was guided to look up the word grammar, and actually one of the definitions of grammar, it's a French word, means magic. And so here we are, spelling with magic, and if pretty much all of the languages that we have in the 3D have some element to what we're calling this false matrix. And so what's happened is through language, the frequency that's been given to the words, there's literally this matrix that's been created in the physical brain. And when I see it, it looks like pentagonal shapes. And the pentagonal shape is a closed grid container. And so it's quite literally within the physical brain, and you can see it. And so it's not just that it's been creating this grid system within the physical brain of this language, but that there are channels from a lot of those words, those belief systems, so on, that's been going to the body and into the organs, into the cells, into whatever. And this is what's been creating a lot of disease, a lot of different things that's within the body, and why it's also within the collective and the repetitive nature. I think even the aging process is part of this. It's all being dialogued to us. And so what is happening that I'm sure we're doing here, and what's been happening with everyone, you talk about why we don't have as many words, is because we're shifting the frequency of this dialogue. And what's happening that you can see is that there's quite literally within the physical brain, these different avenues are getting alchemized. So like part is alchemized, and then it creates a new channel, and then another one, so that we have our soul signature, which is our authentic frequency, interacting with the physical brain, communicating with the body, instead of the collective beliefs sitting in there, communicating with the body and keeping this repetitive thing going. And so this is this huge thing that's happening, and it's really kind of simply put, it's unwinding for us or releasing from us these dense frequencies. But again, that process may be very uncomfortable because it's taking something that's been familiar, you know, it's been something that we've been dialoguing, we've been doing for a long time, and not recognizing, you know, that this is this repetitive. This is and the one thing that I will say to anybody who's really listening to this, that, you know, a lot of times you start to talk about this kind of thing and people get real uncomfortable and start to be so monitoring, oh, well, then I can't think this or I can't think those words. And what I say to you is that's all part of it too. That's why I said earlier that you can't interact with it. That's why we have to be in that divine just now moment without judgment. And so that's why we just simply surrender to the now and let all that play out. You see, let it just keep going, right? Until you're just here. And because if imagine if we are truly these little kids, and here's the thing that proves this. So when you're a little kid, think about the body, right? Even as a tiny little kid, they're very floppy and movable and so on, because they don't have that matrix in here that's dialoguing how to function and move within the body, right? And it hasn't been instilled yet into the body.
Like their bones are flexible.
Well, everything's flexible and movable, right? But watch how freer we feel too as we release these belief systems and these denser frequencies. And I quite literally in my physical body have felt, I mean, my whole spine is lining, my cellular structure is completely different. So, so that was a lot of dialogue.
That was good though. This is perfect. I'm just like looking at the different streams. So one of the things too, because everything's changing so fast.
Yes.
I love the spirit scientific explanation, because that's really what a big part of what you were talking about. I think, you know, I'm talking about it earlier about we don't need to understand everything, but what I did say too behind that was it's the intention behind it. So even though I can get some of the words, it's really the intention. The code is in the intention, because the intention is in alignment. Free will with universal will, service to self, service to others, service to the universe. So it's a powerful thing. And so it's, you know, it's not always in the words, and it's nice when they come in, because the words are powerful. But there's more from just being in the presence and feeling the energy. We're talking about a higher sensitivity experience or expanded experience beyond the five senses of what you can pick up and what's available and accessible. And you don't have to be sitting next to the person. You can be watching the person. You can even tap into the person. There's a lot of ways to do it. One of the things that I feel like I have to speak on my own terms. I have to use myself as my own guinea pig, my own cosmic laboratory. You know, I share things. We all share things, because as the individual goes, so goes the collective. There again, it's the intention behind it that's going to be that is the order of the day. That is going to be superseding anything we might say. But we're in transition, so it's a combination of frequencies, and we're integrating non-physical and physical, and that's how we roll. But in terms of what I say to myself, this has been something else that's helped me in the last 30 days, because I've taken it on board as opposed to just respecting it as a cliche, right? Words are powerful. We know that. Thoughts are powerful. I think thoughts are at the root. And I'm not there yet. Okay. I see them come in. I look at them every now and then. One of them gets me by the ass, and then I end up looking like an idiot or acting out or projecting or whatever the case is. So I'm still learning in all departments. But one of the things that you said that really sparked me is something that's been bouncing in my head for the last 30 days. To expand my conscious life, to expand my conscious presence, and to put into motion my actions, to take that knowledge and convert it into wisdom based on my actions. Knowledge plus wisdom, plus action equals wisdom. And that is to watch what I say, because what I say is what I think. I'm not ready to do an end round from my actions to my thoughts and try to rectify the situation or bring into a higher level of alignment. I got to go through the words first, and then I'll start going to the thoughts. Okay. I've got to bring more alignment to my actions, then my words, and then to my thoughts. That's just me. Now, what I'm trying to say is, as an example, I start looking at things that are presented to me as it's presented to everybody. They're presented to trigger. We say trigger. They're presented to get us to look at something, right? Now, we all know that. And what I'm trying to say is, I started to tell myself, this was like in Sedona, like right at the end of Sedona. Mm-hmm. Actually started in Sedona because it started when our car blew up. Mm-hmm. All right. And I had about a 2-hour episode the next day, and I went into the old loops. Now, this was all pretty much private. I might have snapped at Morgan, or something like that, but it wasn't like a lot of projection. It was all within myself. And I'm like, why am I sitting here? And why am I thinking in the terms that I do, which isn't natural for me? Because my car blew up. Why am I worrying about how we're going to get home? Why am I worrying about how we're going to pay for the car to get fixed? And all those things that we think about. So I started to go, wait a minute. Does it have to be painful? Does it have to be uncomfortable? Does it have to be suffering? Do these things have to be part of my transformational energy? Even though my human is front and center and the human is the hero, do I have to go through these things and suffer? And I say to myself, no. Why is this happening? Because I'm saying to myself and out loud, it's going to hurt. Yeah. It's not going to be comfortable all the time. Hell, I already said it today. Okay. I'm catching myself and I'm saying, wait a minute. This thing just triggered me. That did cause a little nerve to get, hit in me. But I can immediately go there and go, wait a minute. This really is a gift. And it's a gift beyond the cliche and the words I speak. It's a gift that I can actually bring into my cellular, I can bring into my body at an atomic level, and I can say, hey, bingo, we're about to light this bitch up. Okay. We're about to elevate. And we say thank you for the trigger and thank you for the trigger, and then we go in our room and we close our door, and I've done it many times, and you sit there and you throw a fit, and you go through that self-judgment, and you go through all these processes that served us well, but we've expanded, we've reached higher ground. We don't have to. What was a fast track 2 months ago is obsolete now. All right. This is where we're at. Utilize the information and the experience that we've had to then put into action from a more efficient place. Okay. And things will continue to move faster. They're going to move faster anyway. But I guess to sum this part up, because I do think it's important for me, and that is, be careful what I say. I don't have to go through this period, of pain and suffering, because I'm going to go face my fear in regard to whatever the subject is. Okay. I can go into it and say, I am the evolving, transforming human to divine human being, not just a cliche and not just a new ageism. I am a God in the fucking flesh. Okay. All respect, all honor, all reverence, all love, all power, all grace, everything. What am I here to do? To figure out who the fuck I am? No, I'm here to create new earth. I'm here to create new birth. I'm here to create new consciousness within myself and contribute to the collective expansion of all that is known and unknown. And that to me is a big, like a big Stargate. Oh, shit, it's more like a big universal gate opening up and saying, come on, let's play. You know, come on. You don't care what people think. You're past that. You're not handicapped by your traumas anymore. You're not fixated on your future at the expense of being present. You know, you swim in the waters with co-collaborators and co-creators. You see the fucking magic. Get off the pot and shift, right? Let's make this happen. We can do this. You know, this thing, and I speak every day because that's what I do, but the words, yes, they're a necessary part, but and no, they're not going to be holding the same weight like anything else, you know, next incarnation, next week, next day, next year. But recognize that everything that we do has power. Everything that we do has the same God substance. Even though we're in a transition, we can't stand pat where we're at. Anything and everything must expand or it will die. And when I say die, it doesn't mean that it will go away forever. All it means is that in order to level up, everything has to level up with you. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But everything has the potential to expand in unison. That is oneness, and that begins with ourselves. Okay, and I think as we're merging the physical and the non-physical, the voice is a huge part of it because it carries both. It has the physical sound, but it also has the invisible waves. You know. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very important thing. And I think in this incarnation, for me, you know, it could just be me, the voice and the heart are a huge merging. Yeah. And because it does take the spirit and the human, right? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because what I want to add to that, what you were saying is, so this idea that, you know, we're moving from this 3D to 4D aspect and awakening and, you know, a lot of things that you said there, that's like not about me. Well, okay, so when we talk about language, and definitely we're talking about being able to express ourselves, and we're expressing ourselves now in full recognition as our frequency, as our soul signature, as our self, as source. And so in this idea of being in, which I'm going to keep talking about really, is that now divine moment, which I think is the most important, because first of all, the only real time is the present moment. There's no other past or future, whatever. But to be in this now moment, really without judgment, is allowing for your soul signature to completely express itself through this vehicle, as this vehicle, in all aspects of this vehicle, which means that even like now, when I'm speaking the same language that can carry a 3D frequency, I'm not carrying a 3D frequency with this language at the moment. I'm carrying at a 5D because I'm bringing that into a sense of neutrality and expansion of my own God self frequency with it. And this is why that whole idea of what communication really is, and what's more important that we begin to recognize is, how are we doing this? You know, in what capacity are we truly in a place of neutrality, having a genuine experience? Doesn't mean I'm not going to have experiences. I came here to have life experiences, of course, but it's my experience. So the idea of being triggered, the idea of, you know, needing to feed something to someone or teach them in a way that they have to get it. All of that is that idea of manipulation. It's that communication being some type of manipulation. And it's either self-manipulation that I'm allowing, if a trigger, that's the internal doing the manipulation to myself, right? The judgment, whatever. Or the other way is that I somehow am needing to feel important or whatever in order to feed somebody.
So
right?
it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll use me as an example. Why do I get on here? Why do I do 4 shows yesterday when I can't even stand up?
Yeah.
Am I trying to reinforce who I think I am?
Right.
Or am I serving?
Right.
And I
think
are
you authentic? Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Why am I doing
Yes.
what I'm doing? Look,
Yes.
we all have wounded healer.
Yeah.
We all still have these things.
Yeah.
All this stuff is potentially active. It was a seed that grew and it will never go away.
Yeah.
So we continue to, and the forest gets bigger and our field gets bigger and the universe gets bigger. But I like that because I love simple things.
Yeah.
So why am I doing what I'm doing? You could actually convert that to anything.
Yes, to everything.
Right.
And as we continue, and to me, this is this true movement that we're doing from this 3D into the 4D, 5D aspect. It's literally that movement, because even like I said, we talk about light workers, and I've been doing this for over 30 years. And, having been, I had, because I came in very young, I had this huge naivety, and I'm not saying that I haven't had my ego and that I haven't been in places of trying to show up and do different things. Of course, we've done all that. But when it came to kind of this, we'll call God work for me, I just always have felt just very expansive with that, trying to make it into a profession, ran into that kind of manipulation aspect where it was like, oh gosh, now I have to, figure out a way to get clients, or I have to do something or whatever. And to me, it was arduous, exhausting. It made me not be able to step up, which I think a lot of, really amazing, we'll call healers, reason why they've been back in the shadows is because they didn't want to, play that game because the frequency wasn't playing the game. The frequency doesn't do that. When you have your natural frequency, you can't play that in that 3D. It doesn't work because you are showing up authentic. And my experience was that I was, bumping people, or things would happen because, you're at a higher frequency than somebody else. And it's just, things weren't jiving and mixing and so on. And so what we're seeing now is this transition, right, with everyone, certainly with the light workers and all that, where we are just, I'll say, freeing ourselves up, coming into this very, just why are we really doing this? And maybe, even from a beautiful heart, and I know I've certainly felt that of a desire to help. And I actually carried with me this feeling that I was like, God gave me this task and I have to do it, kind of a feeling. But that's still that kind of manipulation, confusion, so on energy. And now it's gotten to the point where, I can speak about these things. And I think it's important. And it's all like you've said a lot, Todd, it's coding. It's just, there's a lot of frequencies and energies that are moving with all of this. And so, yeah, we're going to communicate differently, but it's really more about the frequency in which we're communicating, not so much the words or what's happening. It's being in that truly, that neutrality. And that's how do you get there is to ask the question, why? And I've really spent a lot of time doing that with myself, a lot of dialogue, like, what do I really want? Why am I really doing this? What is my true motivation for this?
Yeah.
And when I can realize my true motivation is because it brings me the most fantastic joy, which was coming here or doing anything. When I feel just happy, giddy, like a little kid, and I know I've hit it, right? And that's what I feel no matter what's going on. And I think it's an amazing time that we're living in. And yeah, it's a lot of confusion, a lot of stuff, but this is this gift of all this stuff that's been happening, is that, because it is so chaotic and so confusing and so all that stuff going on, but that we can feel this, right?
But and that I was going back to what I was saying earlier about how I'm working within my own field in that space where no one else enters.
Yeah.
Where I'm talking to the universe and really sitting there as I evolved into this type of communion as both student and teacher.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but what I started to look at in terms of how can I, how can I uplift my perspective on a trigger, on things that we have judged in our journey as being uncomfortable or painful or suffering? How can I transform that perspective, those perspectives, as everything else is being transformed too? Why should there be certain things in my life that aren't transforming, that are staying stagnant when other ones are elevating? It just doesn't make sense. So one of the things that I got through this process was that how unique this particular collective incarnation is, the earth, what it is. And with in respect, or in the context, or in bringing into the context for some contrast, okay, is our multidimensional aspects, whether you see them as aspects of you, the galactics, the angelics, the elementals, and the whole 9 yards, the universal family, and or if you see them as external mirrors, just as we are to each other.
Right.
And what I was shown, or what I was given, or what I came to understand in my awareness, is that we are literally kicking ass and taking names. And it is exactly what we struggle with that is the gift to the universal family. It's the ability of the perseverance and the persistence of the human will, that free will, that full-blown, unlimited free will that is a rarity anyway in the universe. And you can talk to Franco Di Nicola. He'll be on tomorrow, Monday, and we know what his intel is like, and he talks about that. You have levels of free will in certain collective experiences, but here it's full-blown, wide open. So imagine having that level, that expanse, the extremity in the spectrum, and coming to a 0 point. Now, the meat and potatoes of the 0 point are the belief systems, and this is where we're being challenged now. The belief systems that we had that brought us into alignment in the 0 point, which, like everything else, is fluctuating and expanding as well, and requiring more frequencies be transformed within it to make it a greater field of experience and a greater field of peace and love and all the things that come with the attributes of what is we might call pure love. But my point is that what it requires is as well, not what it requires, but what I mean is the gift of the collective human hybrid soul species is that grind that we've been challenged with, that grind that has created the friction of new creation of an expansive human to divine human species. And what's happening is now we're getting to a point where it doesn't have to be as painful. We don't have to suffer. We don't have to go into prolonged sadness. These things don't have to be what they were. They're taking on new meanings. And the reason that I brought this up is because you made me remember that in the view of this universal family, of these high lit galactics and angelics and all those things that have been connected to us by one way or the other, and have come in to open up code and give us sacred wisdom and open us to our gifts and abilities and the unique piece of the puzzle that we are in the universal jigsaw puzzle. Those aspects look at us in the greatest reverence. They understand how dense it is. They understand. They look at us and they say, they are the ones that don't know their gods. And rightfully so, because it's been a pretty hellacious ride. But now we're getting to a point where we can actually, through her spirit scientific explanation earlier, seriously, that we're actually seeing first changes in our physical body. We're starting to have a lot of more kundalini energy, chi energy. We're getting around people It starts to light us up. We've reached a level of maturation where we no longer go, oh my God, I want to, I want to hit on her, and I want to go see if we can, do the Humpty Dumpty. We're realizing now that was part of our experience, but we're realizing now, because we've matured to a certain level, that this is actually how it works. That this little flash of euphoria and ecstasy and those type of things has been limited in our perception. We're now starting to understand as well, this is the way the engine moves. All right. So when Cathleena comes today, and even before she came, and I send her a message, I see the smile before she even gets here. I see her essence. Doing a show with Michael Mejia yesterday, and some of the others, their higher selves were front and center at the top of triangles, blowing sparks out of their wings. I mean, this is what we're moving into. And as she comes, as so many other people that I met in Sedona, I feel the Kundalini. I feel the Chi, but I'm way past, like many of us, I'm way past reacting to that based on and there's nothing wrong with it because it's part of our composition, but based on our previous experience, what to do with that sexual energy. Now we're starting to understand the sacred sexual energy is our lifeblood. It's our life force. And the more that we can feel it is also an indicator of, am I elevating, or am I still crazy? Or am I just imagining things? No, this is real. This is real. And of course, I'll just close with this. Yeah. It only comes, and this is a fact, if we initiate things from the guidance that we receive, because the guidance we're receiving is a gift brought to us by previous initiations of action, refined thoughts, and words. Okay? This is us talking to us, right? Yeah. And so when they come in, this is why you see people that all over the world are doing things that make no fucking sense at all. Okay? It makes no sense at all. Yeah. And does it come with what we might call challenges? Does it come with more bumps in the road? Absolutely. But I'd much rather be on this path, going through the bumps in the road, which are, again, these gifts and opportunities for expansion. I'd much rather be doing it here at this point than where I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, because the game doesn't change. It really doesn't change. We're never going to get there, right? Yeah. We are there. Yeah. And there is not a noun. It is like the word they gave me 9 years ago. Go look at the word faith, a transitive verb to trust and believe. That's all it says in the dictionary. It's a third definition of faith. Transitive verb, which means motion. It's not a noun. That's there. Yeah. There is always movement.
Yeah. Right? Absolutely. Yeah, because this whole Earth experience. Well, a couple of things about the Earth experience. One, that it's has the largest range of emotional experiences of any other planet. So there's a tremendous amount of emotions. That's what we have here. And it's all about the experience, period. And so that's really what you're saying. And that we've been confused about is that we have free will, and then we have all these different experiences, and it's all about experience in the physicality because that's what we chose. But what's happened for generations of time is that we didn't recognize that we were the ones in charge, and that we were this huge energy, all this information as energy that is being brought here, that has all this ability through free will to have all these different experiences. And so what instead we've been doing is been narrowing down our experience based on what we've been told we can and can't do, who we are, how we're supposed to be, where we live, how much money we make, blah, 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 blah. Whatever parameters that we've been given that as to who we are, we've been taking this idea of free will and only moving it within those very limited parameters. But we've always had like a higher self guiding us for our sole purpose of coming here. So a lot of what's been happening in our lives has felt only struggles because we are not recognizing what we chose and why we really want to come here. And it's interesting because if you look at your life and I talking about the difference between 3D, 4D, anything that you're finding and discovering about what your soul signature is and is about, you would have been guided to do all through your life, but it would have shown up maybe in a more denser capacity. It's like for instance, I was a massage therapist, and how I moved into that, and I was very technical massage therapist. You can see I've got sort of the scientific, because I have the Arcturian background, I have so on. So all of that was it was a more 3D aspect of what I'm now doing in the 5D aspect of the energy and so on. But the difference is, because we're talking about denser energy, something that was denser. And so something that in the 3D where we talk about it being solid, well, as an energy, when it's solid, it's arduous. It feels, and so when we take this giant multidimensional self and we jam it into a profession or something that, even when it has aspects of who we are and our soul signature, but when we're cramming it into something that's very, solidly based, it can feel difficult. It can feel very challenging. It can feel, very uncomfortable, and it can trigger ways within us that we feel like we're not free. And so it's very interesting about this experience that, to me, the whole game, of course, is having an experience, whatever that is. And so the more that we can simply use our breath and recognize it, just like a breath is an experience, and have it in that way, life can be really fun. And it doesn't mean that you don't have things that you end up doing, but it's actually kind of magical, if you can just let, like, being here or ending up in Sedona, the different things that have happened to me, it's kind of magically happening. And before, because I'm very, I've got a lot going on in my thought process. I can see a lot of things.
You're complicated.
I got a lot going on. Yeah.
Cosmically complicated.
Yes, I do have a lot going on. So when I would have all of that in the 3D, it made it very challenging. There's a lot of compartmentalizing and things like that we end up doing. And that's a lot of that matrix I was talking about inside the head. So when we don't do that anymore, and we simply just allow and let all the things that seem really weird, like that don't make sense, exactly like you go from here to there, and why am I suddenly, when I have 2 days left of a lease or something, that I'm going to pop off to Sedona and I'm going to do this, and when you don't get into all that analyzing it and all that thought, you just open up your energy.
You know why she does it? Because she has Dragon Balls. She's got big Dragon Balls. We all have big Dragon Balls, every one of us. No,
You're funny.
That's well, that's the childlike thing.
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
I mean, that's like when I met you in Sedona.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was be me. I made a off-color, what some people might say is an off-color, lack of etiquette type of a remark. But
introduction. It's always good.
But that's But I mean, again, it is Deb, the beautiful sister that gifted us the bus. I saw a comment she made earlier. I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it. Yeah. And she was saying, in essence, using us as an example, and we were talking about words and again, and she said, some people can hear you and some people can hear her.
Right.
So there can't be, through all we've been through, there can't be a lack of complication. We have to go through the complication to find the simplicity. And I try to find the simplistic guideposts for myself. I always have, you know, and so like one of the things, again, I was taught, I received 9 years ago, and I didn't understand at the time, had to do with telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to understand, and anyone that, and any of us, and we all have, whether we're conscious of it or not, that's had dimensional experiences, and you can call it in dream state, or you can call it a meditation state, or whatever the case is. You know, when you see an angel, their lips aren't moving when they're talking to you, right? And the same with the galactics. Telepathy is purely in whatever that heaven to earth frequency is, whether it be 5D, 12D, whatever. That's the order of the day. That's one of the constants. That's one of the givens that's occurring and expanding its presence in all of us, whether we want to work with it or we don't. And guess where the greatest telepathy is? It's not from what I pick up from her. It's from what I pick up from myself. You can call it intuition, but when you have an expanded telepathy in the collective field, it's going to expand what we call intuition within yourself. And here's where we go to the discernment and the judgment. You know, this telepathy in a pure telepathic realm, which is what we're pulling in, there is no judgment because there's nothing to question, because everything you get is pure information. Okay, so this is what we're bringing in this, I'm going to say, this historic, once in a universal lifetime's experience up to this point. That's just my opinion. I'm biased and prejudiced, and I know that. Mm-hmm. But I have total respect for the 7.7 billion people that are walking this earth, and all that have come, and all that will come, because it's a hell of a ride, and it's been created and refined. And what may look like some painful journey that we've all been through, where there was never any justice, it's the paradoxical teaching of the universe. It's actually been the most powerful energetic burst that these multiverses have seen maybe ever. And it's setting a mark for future expanded versions of the experience that we've all shared through the incarnations we've had on the earth. We're fucking badasses, and we can own it. Yeah. And we don't have to be arrogant. Right. The universal unity is not going to allow us to be it anyway. Yeah. But there is a time to be modest. There's a time to be reserved. There's a time to be tentative. But now is the time to utilize the highest and most extreme humility come from humiliation that we all have begun to touch and feel and swim in. This humility is a softness. We've all been humbled, and now we can convert. Now we are converting this humility to an ultra extraordinary, cosmic, galactic, angelic, transformational boom. And that's called new creation. And that's where we're at now. We're no longer in the history books. You know, we're no longer reading through history books and revisiting past lives and revisiting future lives, because they are all one and the same. Mm-hmm. We are in the present moment creating new lives, new earth, new solar systems, new galaxies, new universes, new multiverses, new species, new golden children, new everything. And it's not preordained and it's not predestined. There is a cyclical aspect to it, like the wheels or the gears inside of a Swiss watch, but we have the ability in the now moment to spontaneously, intuitively, creatively, imaginatively, and depending on how ballsy we are, courageously, we have the ability to do anything. And the only thing that is, I think, an absolute is that the maximization of the potential of the opportunity is predicated on how aligned, how pure the alignment is of free will from this space that we share with universal will, right? Or you could say pure love. The more pure love in your intention, the bigger and badder ass your creation is going to be. That's my take on it. Thank you for letting me speak there.
Yeah, sure.
So you got anything else? Oh wait, you get your
I'll show
So
it.
this is the year of co-creation, collaboration, and supporting our efforts, brothers and sisters, supporting our efforts. Cathleena's into a lot of different things, and
I want to do an activation here too.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, you whatever you want to do.
Sure.
I'm not rushing you at all. Just,
yeah, sure.
I'm just moving things along.
Sure.
First of all, let me get your website. What is your website?
Well, you can put up frequencyadjuster.com.
Okay,
Frequency,
I got you.
and CathleenaHailley.com.
Oh, there's two. Frequency
Yeah,
adjuster.
my Cathleena Hailley is going to go to my Facebook right now, but it'll be soon. To
Okay,
my
frequencyadjuster.com.
Yeah,
That's one.
and CathleenaHailley.com.
And Cathleena Hailley. Oh, EY.com. I just want to get those up there.
Sure.
That should be on, let me see, that should be on my Facebook page, the YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and it won't be on a SOULSPEAKS group or SOULSPEAKS One Studios page. I don't know why the multi-streaming service does it. But anyway, I'm going to put this one up on the screen.
Sure.
The floor is yours.
Okay.
If you're going to activate my Kundalini, though, I just need to go put a diaper on.
You're funny. Yeah, I'm going to do an activation, but I'll just show everybody the frequency adjuster. For those of you who don't know me, I have channeled a handheld instrument. It's called a frequency adjuster. This is what it looks like. And it's from the Arcturians. And it actually creates a 0 point for what is called the human template. Think about the human template as just like a blueprint of the physical design of the body. And what happens is that when we incarnate our soul, so our soul signature enters into the physical body, it actually enters into the womb water of the mom and then mingles with the carbon DNA. But I don't want to get too complicated. But let's just say there's kind of this overall template that when it's at a 0 point is when those frequencies that I talked about earlier that have been kind of causing problems in the body, they go to a neutral, and then more of you actually can come in and begin to express itself in the physical body. So this frequency adjuster actually creates a 0 point for that. You can find it at frequencyadjuster.com. There's a little video there about how to attune to it. It tells a little bit more about it. I'm also have channeled another one that will align you to the Earth template that I'll bring forward a bit later. It's not created. It's only in the drawing right now, but it'll be something else coming forward. But what I would like to do actually is an activation now to bring in a little bit more of that 0 point, but I want to do an expansion with the energy that's here, with everything that we're talking about. It feels like that what we're going to work with is to, what I'm seeing is like taking words, particularly words, doubt, shame, judgment, blame, definitely fear is an element, but these are particular ones that we're going to work with. And what I'm experiencing is through this activation, it's like we're going to take the particles of the frequency of those particular words that have been communicating with your physical brain, and we're going to expand that the particles and those frequencies within the brain to be able to let that begin to let go. And this feels really important, particularly a lot of doubt and and judgment, because I think a lot of people have been having kind of challenges about how to move forward with everything that's going on in the world right now, and having a doubt that they're going to be okay, that they can survive, that they can figure it out. And so it feels a very strong frequency right now to be able to expand and alchemize a bit. So if you're ready, let's do that. All right. So anybody's watching, I'm actually going to close my eyes. And if you want to get comfortable and just, you can close your eyes, and we're going to start to take some breaths and let this take place. Okay. So if everybody wants to close their eyes, start taking some nice deep breaths. And we're breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. I'm just beginning to let go. I tend to get a little bit quieter, so hopefully you can hear me. If not, it doesn't matter, because we're just moving through energies and frequencies.
We got you.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Take some big breaths, and I can already feel the energy expanding. A lot of this is moving through the back of the skull and the jaw, the throat. And we're just going to imagine that these are little particles. As we're transforming this, we're actually expanding these frequencies. I'm going to transmute them back to source. Take a deep breath. I'm going to release this out of the back of the head, brain, physical brain. Just imagine like little particles breaking up and floating right outside the head. This frequency, particularly the one of doubt, has been very much connected to the eyes, physical eyes, the tongue, the throat. You can feel it in the solar plexus, in and around the heart. Maybe take a deep breath. I'm going to spin a frequency of pure diamond white light through the back of the heart and spin it out the front. I'm going to break up lineage and timelines of what's been reinforced with doubt, the illusions of why you believe that doubt exists. So we're just breaking that up. I'm going to clear that out. Beautiful. I can feel, I'm going to expand that diamond white light actually through the central channel, around the heart, all the way up through the crown, plugging in completely into the dark womb source, opening the root, plugging into the crystalline core of Gaia. I'm going to actually spin the light body to just integrate more of your soul signature. This is just bringing in more of the Christed self. Beautiful. Just going to expand that a little bit more through the physical brain. And actually clear out the ears a little bit too, particularly on the right. I'm going to release some And there's some holding again of this. It's like a holding in the right arm, hand, fingers of again this frequency of doubt that I can create it, I can do it. It's related to a physicality, so it's going to release that out of the right side and the hand. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay, everybody take a big breath. Just going to expand this out 360 degrees and plug you 100% into the organic grid and the new earth timeline as we clear this through the collective. Huge. Beautiful. I'm just going to clear this a bit more through the physical brain, just taking off some timelines and layers of this. Just bringing it into a bit more clarity as I'm bringing you now into this divine 0 point. Kind of what I say is the ultimate 0 point, which is no thing and all possibilities. Going to drop you in. Really bringing this into, it's like a crystal clear frequency through the entire body. Perfect. It's great. Just a little bit more in the back of the brain to release out as we drop you into this divine now moment. Great. I'm going to call forth all of your higher selves to communicate directly now any kind of messages or information that may be more immediate to come into your field at this now moment. Allow that just to drop around into your field and begin to communicate in any way that is best serves you in the highest and best for all. Great. Whew. When you're ready, you can come back and open your eyes and tell me how you feel.
Oh my God. I'm kidding. That was good. That was good. I'm not normally able to connect in situations like this because of my cosmic ADHD. But no, it's very good. Nice, very nice. All right, man. Heather Nielsen, I'm glad you're sitting on the toilet and loving all of this. We all know that the Crown is a great place to download. So, all right. I think an hour and a half. It's been a good morning. And you guys get over to CathleenaHailley.com and what's the other one? Here we go. FrequencyAdjuster.com. Support our beloved sister.
Thank you.
This is what this year's all about. And I've enjoyed it. It's been a great experience.
Yeah.
Excuse me. This is the first person that's come in to the studio and done a show.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
I have to christen it.
Yeah. So it's an honor, and it's always meaningful because, you know, things are what they are. They're not coincidences.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Thank you for everything.
Thank
you. Yeah. We'll be seeing you later.
Love you guys. Thank you.
May come back on later today. In fact, I'm sure I will figure something out. It's going to be a spontaneous weekend. I don't think we have anything planned yet. I could be wrong. All right. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah, we do have one planned. I got to remember.